We have two wonderful pastors, Pastor Nene and Pastor Jean-Claude, who give shepherding oversight to that group. And I was struck last week, as you came in this morning, you noticed the rain as it was coming down. And last week, Pastor Jean-Claude, he came up and he prayed over the offering. And while he was standing up here, you wouldn't have noticed it, but he was soaking wet. Because prior to coming up and praying for the offering, he had grabbed an umbrella and was going out to people's cars and just walking them from the cars into the building so that they wouldn't get wet. So he'd carry the umbrella out, stick the umbrella over them, and allowed himself to get soaked so that they'd come in the building and be dry. And then he came up here and he prayed over the offering. And I just think, what wonderful servants' hearts they have. What wonderful humility they have. And we as a congregation are so blessed to have these two men in our midst, and our third congregation, our members from that group, to be a part of us here. So I want to lead with some scriptures this morning as we do this interview with Pastor Nene, and Caritas is going to come along and help with some of the translation. In Exodus chapter 23, under the heading, in my Bible, the heading is Justice for All. It says, also, you shall not oppress a stranger, for you know the heart of a stranger, because you were strangers in the land of Egypt. And in Leviticus 19 it says, but the stranger who dwells among you shall be to you as one born among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. And in Deuteronomy it says, for the Lord your God is God of gods and Lord of lords, the great God, mighty and awesome, who shows no partiality nor takes a bribe. He administers justice for the fatherless and the widow and loves the stranger, giving him food and clothing. Therefore, love the stranger, for you are strangers in the land of Egypt. I think some ways, as you might wrestle with what social justice looks like, as you might wrestle with immigration issues and refugee issues, all those political maneuverings that take place in our day that are very real, very significant to us, the word of the Lord speaks, I think, very powerfully to each one of us, that we are to treat those who are from outside as one of us, who are born among us, though they were not, as our brothers, to love them as we love one another. And that's God's heart out of the Old Testament. And so you know that out of that Old Testament, that's his heart into the New. And so we're going to take some time and hear Pastor Nene's story. So I'd like to invite Pastor Nene and Caritas to come out, please. Let's welcome them as they come. So, Pastor Nene, you've been a part of Christian Fellowship for how many years now?
Almost 3 years.
About 3 years, all right. And Caritas, you've been a part of Christian Fellowship for about how long, do you think?
About 8 years.
About 8 years, okay. So you came along a little bit sooner than that. And we want to just kind of explore the story, Pastor Nene's story in particular. He'll speak some things in English as he's comfortable, but then as he switches, Caritas will translate for him. My understanding is there's over 1,300 refugees in the Columbia area. Probably that number's grown since I did those numbers. And they're from different parts of Africa, different countries, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. Also from Burma, Myanmar, China, and probably some other locations. So we have a number of refugees who have come and settled here in Colombia specifically. And your home, Nene, is where? Your original home in Africa?
It's Congo.
Is Congo, okay. And Congo was formerly known as, this is a quiz, he knows the answers to all these, I'm just pitching him softballs so he can give me answers. And Zaire was a colony of Belgium, yeah. And so independence came, I think it was in 1960.
Yes.
Right, okay. And from that, or probably not strictly out of that, there's been a conflict in that area for quite a while. Yeah. How long would you say? For as long as you can remember, in terms of the conflict?
before I born.
He was before he was born.
Before you were born?
Yes.
Okay, all right. We're gonna, since I understand that we're all a bit geographically challenged, we're going to take a look at a map of Africa. Just be mindful. I know we know this, but sometimes we treat Africa like it's a country. It's a continent, and there's lots of countries in Africa. And so it helps to identify the country that a person is from and not just the continent that they're from. And so let's show one of those slides up there, please. All right, so that's the continent of Africa. All those different colors are the different countries within that continent. And let's go to the next slide here. And the highlights there are the locations that Nene is familiar with. This is the Democratic Republic of the Congo, right?
Yeah.
So that's your home area. And with this, point to where your village was roughly, kind
Is
of
it up like
up there in the
here.
north part?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then next to Democratic Republic, just to the east of that, is
Here is Rwanda, Burundi,
Rwanda and Burundi,
Tanzania, Kenya here, I guess.
Tanzania,
Tanzania.
Uganda in between.
Yeah, here.
Uh-huh.
This is Tanzania.
Tanzania.
I guess it's Kenya.
And that's Kenya there.
Yeah.
So those are the countries that you're connected to. You're Caritas, you're from what?
I'm from
country?
Rwanda.
You're from Rwanda.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you're both from different countries over there. How many different ethnic groups are in, let's say, your country?
Like 470, 470 languages too. As you move through the villages, you change their language.
That's fascinating.
It is.
And how many languages do you know?
With English, 11
11?
languages.
And one of those is English, right?
Yeah, English.
Yeah, so we're adding English. Caritas, how many do you?
I speak 7.
You speak 7.
Yes.
Okay. I speak 1.
It's okay.
Never really been challenged beyond that, sorry to say, but that's where we are. How many Congolese had to flee? Is there a number of people that have been displaced from the Congo?
It's a lot of people. We don't know.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
Yeah. And from Rwanda, how many people have been displaced from Rwanda?
From Rwanda, we lost 1 million people in 100 days. And a lot of people went to through Congo. People went to Congo, but we lost 1 million people in 100 days in Rwanda. So I don't know how many went outside, but most came back in Rwanda again.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, people from the Congo fled, and they fled into other countries. People from Rwanda fled, and they fled into like from Rwanda to Congo, right?
After the genocide, I know you know that the military and the militias went to Congo. You can see the line going to Congo. They were running into Congo with the munitions. And that's where really the conflict started, because they went with all of that and they start killing in Congo too. So, and it was the rebellions. So people were dying, and now people in Congo are refugees in Rwanda.
Yeah, people in Congo are refugees in Rwanda. People
because
in
Rwanda
Rwanda
is
were refugees in Congo.
Yes.
Yeah, and you eventually went from Congo to where? Mark?
Rwanda, Uganda,
Uganda,
and Kenya.
And then Kenya, so
Yeah.
that's where you went. All right. How old are you now?
46.
46. And how long have you been in the United States?
11 years.
11 years, all right. Well, so when you're in the Congo, where you lived, what did you do for a living? What was
Nari umuvugabutumwa kandi yigisha n'abana kuri primaire.
He was a pastor, and also he was a teacher in an elementary school.
All right. Pastor and a teacher in your village. And so we have some pictures of where Nene lived. If we could show some of those slides, we'll just take a look at the countryside. It's beautiful countryside, mountainous, hilly. You want to describe that a little bit?
Here at the top is my home here. Here is my school. This is Catholic church. This is my school. I was go to primary school. Even my daughter Aline, she was here, this school.
So you went there and your daughter went there.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Go back a little bit. Go back to the first one, please. The very first. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add in
I
there?
was is maybe
Yeah, so you lived at the top of the hill, then you
Yes.
walked down
down
the
here to
hillside to
school.
school. How long did it take to do that?
Maybe 5 to 4 minutes. It's only to go down like that.
You just-
It's easy.
You just go down.
Yeah, walk.
How long does it take to get up?
To go up is very hard. Maybe 10 minutes.
Maybe 10
Yeah,
minutes. Oh,
but
okay.
to go down, it's easy.
All right. Show the next slide. All right.
That was our big church. So it has branches around. Those are the houses you see around.
ariko iyi foto ni iya mbere y'intambara.
This was before the war.
Baraza kubereka iyindi hamaze gusha.
So I will show you another one after they burned this
Aha ngaha niho
place.
segonderi banigiye.
That's where
segonderi.
my high school was.
Hariya.
And the white roof is in the middle. That's what?
This is church.
That's a church there.
Yes.
And that's a church over there. Are those both churches?
This one is
Yeah.
the house. This
That's
is
a house.
church.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
then
the thatched buildings,
This
those-
one?
are those houses?
this is a house.
These are all houses there.
Yes,
All
this
right.
is
So your village is up on the ridge of that hillside.
Yeah.
Okay. And see the path? Can you guys see the path kind of to the left where there's worn
Okay.
area? Yeah, see that where it runs all through there? That's kind of how you navigate because it's a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful. Yeah. Could we see another slide?
Aha ngaha n'uriya muhanda utambutse umaze gusha rero. Tubona rya
This is
church.
the same place after they burned the place
Yeah.
After
because
they
of the
attacked
war.
and
Iyi ni
burned
ya
it.
nzu bariko babona hano nazo zindi zarahiye.
All those
In the
houses
church.
around were burned,
Aha niho kuri segonderi nigiye
and
hano.
that's my high school again.
Okay. And then when you had to flee, is this well, let's keep going. We'll see if we can see that one shot. Okay, there's the hillside
Aba ni
again.
abaneba biwacu nabo handi. Abaneba bacu.
Those are our neighbors.
Oh, neighbors. Okay. All right, next.
Aba ni abasaza.
Those are the elders. They sit there.
Ufite ikibazo baragenda bakagikemura.
If you have a problem, you will go there and they will mediate between
Bakamenya
you.
ufite ikibazo bakamuhana.
And whoever has a problem will be punished.
That's just like our elders' meetings here that we have as part of our. We just sit around on the outside there and just like
Yeah.
punish you as you come or whatever, correct, give correction.
Yeah, directions.
I love that. I love that shot. And this one here.
Iyi ni inzu nuko bazatangira.
That's how they start to make those round houses.
Iyi ngiyi. Kandi naje ndabizi ubikeneye no yimubakira.
And if you want the house, he can build it.
Yeah.
He knows how to build the house.
You can build one of those houses and put the roof on.
Yes.
Yeah,
Put
the
the
house
roof.
is built, they put
Yeah.
the roof on top. Yeah.
There you go. Anybody? Just there's your man. He will show you how. Okay. Do we have any other slides?
Aha niho iwacu harya iwacu.
This is my home.
Iri niyo church y'iwacu.
That's my church.
Inzu yanje ya mbere yabaga hano.
My first house was there.
Irasha.
It burned.
Ubwo nari mfite umwana umwe.
There I had one child
Nari mfite
that
nyina
time.
w'umwami.
I had just Aline,
Irasha mu ijoro.
and the house burned in the night.
Nari ndwaye.
He was sick that time,
Ambwira madamu ngo nareke njewe nsohoke banice.
and I was like, "Let me go out so they can kill me. Maybe they will burn you inside the house." That's what he told Francine, his wife.
Ndasohoka.
And he got out,
Imana irakomeye.
but God is a
Ariko nta muntu
good God.
nahasanze.
But nobody was outside,
Ubwo ngubwo umwotsi winjira mu nzu.
and it was smoky that time.
Ninjizemo inkoni nari mfite mu muryango.
What is it?
Inkoni nari mfite.
And I have just this big stick.
Nishyira mu muryango ndamubwira ngo sohoka n'abana nta muntu
And I
uri.
said, get out, Francine, with the kids. There's nobody here.
Arasohoka afashe nyina w'umwami.
And she got out with my daughter in her arms.
Naho iyo nzu yari iba ariko naje kwimukira mu yindi yabaga hano.
But the house was there.
Iyo ya mbere yabaga hano.
The first house was there.
Nja kuja aha ngaha.
And then I moved to the other side.
Aha hose ndahazi.
So I know all this place very
Iyi
well.
misozi yose. Iki ni
I
ikibira
know this
kiriya.
mountain very good.
Iki ni ikibira.
That is just a field, an empty field. It's like a jungle.
Iriya iyi yose ni ikibira. Kandi kirazunguruka gutya ahantu hose.
It's a park. It's a natural park around the village.
So your village was attacked in the middle of the night, and you had to flee, and you fled into the jungle. eventually.
Yes.
Yeah, and when you say you fled into the jungle, there's a whole different set of danger in that setting. What's the danger of fleeing into the jungle?
Ahangaha muri iki kibira
In the jungle,
habamwe impyisi nyinshi zikaze.
there's a lot of animals and very ferocious
Kandi
animals.
kuko bazaga bavuga ati baratwica bajane abagore bacu.
And they were saying that they will kill us so they can take our wives.
Nkibuka kuko ntaravuka njewe
And I remember before I was born,
barateye bajana mama.
they attacked and took my mother.
Yari afite abana batatu,
She had 3 children then,
abahungu babiri n'umukobwa.
2 sons and 1 daughter.
Baramujana yageze imyaka 3.
She went there and spent 3 years
Jewe nari
with them.
ntaravuka.
And it was before I was born.
Imyaka 3 ishize abasirikare batera harya hantu.
After 3 years, the soldiers went and attacked that place where they took my mom,
Bazana mama
and my mom came back
n'umwana umwe.
with 1 child.
Umuhungu n'umukobwa barapfa.
The girl and 1 boy
Ubwo
died.
hariya bavugaga kuko kandi bazatwica bakajana abamama bacu.
And also the same history was repeating. They were saying that they will kill us
Bateye nje
and take
nahunze
our
kwanje.
wives. So when they came, I ran apart.
Kandi aba bose muhamubona bari hano.
As you see all these refugees
Ari abarundi
here,
ari abanyarwanda.
Burundi or Rwanda,
Bose ibyambayeho byababayeho.
whatever happened to me happened to them too.
Kuko namoko yasubiranye.
Because it was killing without any meaning.
So everybody who is here has some story.
Some story
like
behind
that.
it,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. So let's talk about your story a bit. There were about 80 people in your village that
Yes.
lived on that hillside there, and they came and attacked you in the middle of the night. So tell us about that story.
Baje mu
Here,
ijoro kuko nari mbivuze.
I'll take your pointer so we don't.
Baje mu ijoro kuko babivuze.
They came at night, like we were saying,
Baratera.
and they attacked the
Bazaga bavuza
village.
ingoma n'amapendo n'ibindi.
They will come playing the drum and singing.
Baratwataka hari mu ijoro.
So they attacked the village.
Nari kumwe n'abana
I was with my children,
na madame.
my wife,
Njewe nita hanze.
and then I went out
Kuko bari bavuze ngo
outside the
bajana
house
abagabo barafata abagabo.
because they were trying to keep us
Njewe
men.
nirukanga ngenda urwanje ruhande.
So I have to run.
Nari nzi kuko bapfuye.
But I thought they would kill my family because I didn't know anything about
Kugeza
them
mpunze.
again. Until I came,
Ngenda ukwanje
I left by
nabo
myself,
bagenda ukwabo.
and they left by themselves.
Nyuma yaho umuhana wari kusha mpaye nkubona nahunze.
And wherever I was, I could see the village burning.
Namavuga ngo abantu bapfuye.
And I just believed my family was
Nibwo
dead.
nahunze mu Rwanda,
So I
Uganda,
went to
Kenya.
Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya then.
Ariko nari nzi kuko bapfuye.
But I didn't know about my family. I thought they were dead.
Ukwiye gusa gusenga niko kwampumuriza.
I was just praying. That's what helped my heart.
So your village is attacked in the middle of the night. You hear things going on. Everybody wakes up, and then you just run. Everyone's just running. Children and mothers and fathers just fleeing whichever way because it's chaos, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's easy for everyone to get separated.
Yes, it
Children
is.
from one another and from their parents and fathers and mothers.
Yes,
You're just
understand.
running for your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
Kuko
happened.
nabibabwiye twabonye umwana umwe Claude.
As I was saying, as we were running,
Muraza kubona ipica yiwe hariya.
they will tell you
Ubwo
about
yarahunze agenda ukwiwe.
the kids' clothes that I have
Madame
now.
yarahunze agenda ukwe
My
n'abana.
wife ran by herself,
Asanga undi mwana bataye.
and she found another kid on the way
Kandi
that
abenshi ntibari
the
babizi-
parent lost.
Abenshi ntibari babizi barabimenya kuko mpaye mbivuga.
Because a lot of people don't know about it, but we have one son.
Amubonye
that we
atazi ko
found.
napfuye nawe.
My wife thought I was dead,
Abona wa mwana
but took the kids
aramufata aramuzana.
and walked with her,
N'ubu turi
her
kumwe
child.
nawe.
And today we have
Intambara iyo ibaye umwe
this child
azagenda
with
ukwihunda
us.
ugende kwiwe.
So that's how the war is. You run apart.
Kandi ibyo byose byambayeho niko mpaye mbabwira n'abandi hano niko byababayeho.
Whatever happened to me, that's what happened to others.
Hari bamwe dusengana hano
There's people that I pray with here.
batazi iwabo.
They don't even know where they came from.
Base nibo bahunze bahungira muri Congo.
The parents went to Congo,
Intambara ibasanga muri Congo.
and the war came to Congo
Barabica mu
again.
bandi bariko bapfa.
They killed those people,
Barahunga baje Tanzania.
and then they went to Tanzania,
Baza hano.
and then they came here.
Abo bose bamwe ntibazi iwabo.
Some
Kandi
people
abagabo
don't know their home
Umwe
and their
agenda ukwe,
men
undi agenda ukwiwe.
because of the way you
Niko abandi
get
bagenda
apart,
bapfa.
and wherever you are, that's your family, that's your place.
How old were you when this took place?
None nari mfite 20 irenga 20 saza.
I was around 20 years or
kuko
more.
imyaka muzoreba abarefugee bose tugira rimwe rimwe.
They don't ask
Birthday.
us about the birthday because all refugees were born January 1st.
Kubera kuko tuba twarahuye n'ibibazo byinshi.
We have a lot of problems. We forget even
Bakubaza
our
imyaka
birthdays.
ukayiyoberwa.
You don't even
Bagashiraho
know.
111.
You don't even know your age. They put 111.
Tubigaho utekereza ko aruza kubaza imyaka.
So nobody think about the age or whoever will ask you about your
Ariko ubwo nari
age.
mfite 20 irenga.
But I was about 20 and more.
So we need to have a birthday party on January 1st.
We need to,
Yeah,
yeah.
we do. That would be fun. So your wife Francine, you're married at that time when the village was attacked. You had 3 little children at that time. How old were they?
Francine twashakanye imbere y'intambara.
So I married my wife before the war.
Kandi twaje kubyara nawe umwana wa mbere tumaze imyaka 5.
After 5 years, we had the first child.
Umutoyi igihe dutandukanye nabo.
When we got apart
muri iyo ntambara
during the war,
urya mutoya Fred yari afite amezi 7.
Freddie was 7 months. Now he just finished high school. That time he was 7 months.
Ariko icyo gihe yari afite amezi 7.
7 months, yeah.
Kwezi yari afite nienda nk'imyaka 2.
Kwezi was
Cyabuze umwaka
2 years.
nyina w'umwami niwe wari mukuru na yari afite 6 nk'irindwi gutyo.
Aline was like 6.
Kaho ngaho niho byari bimeze nawe. Ariko bose ntabo narinzi. Maze kugera hano sinari mbazi.
That's the time I left them. Those were the age.
Yeah. So you're fleeing and she's fleeing and she's getting hold of the children, 7 months, 2 years old, and 6 years old, and just running.
So yeah, she was by herself with all those kids, and then she found another kid.
Along the way, tell us about finding another kid along the way. What is that? What happened?
Madamu nabona igihe azabivuga.
I think she had to say her
Kuko
testimony
je nari maze
herself.
kugera hano.
I was here when I found out that they still alive.
Nawe azavuga.
I would love her to talk.
Undi mwaka.
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
Iwe twamaze gutandukana nibwo yasanze uwo mwana aho ngaho.
So after I left them, she was running
Ubwo yahunga.
Wherever she was.
Kandi abantu benshi bari kubahunga.
And a lot of people were running together.
Ahasanga Claude.
She found a kid.
Tiyarazi no kuvuga yari muto kuri nyina
He was a baby, he was a child, he couldn't even speak yet. We don't know his birthday, but we say he's the same age as our daughter. And she took the child and stayed with her. But it was God that did this. Because God knew that there was somebody that we adopt me to. All the blessings that I have, I got it because of Claude. Amen. Amen.
All right. So not only does she have 3 little children as she's fleeing, she takes on another child and raises him along the way. We're gonna show a picture of Nene's family in just a moment. Now you fled there, and then you went to Kenya, and so you were a refugee in Kenya for how many years?
Maybe 7 years.
Maybe 7 years. Yeah. And what did you do while you were in Kenya?
Muri Kenya narigaga theology.
When he was in Kenya, he was studying theology.
Studying theology.
And he was working too. So in Congo, I went to school for 3 years. And in Kenya, I had to do 3 years and a half. We were working hard so they can pay for our school. I was talking about this. I love Kenyan people. One day they said I have to stop studying because my sponsors are not paying. And they said that in the morning when we were together praying, that day I was lost. I couldn't even pray. I got out. It was the 3rd day when we start going outside on the road teaching the gospel. And one Kenyan came out. The Kenyan called me Monene. Monene is big. Nene, we need to pray for you.
arasenga
And he started praying.
yavuze aya magambo
And he said,
uyu Pastor Nene
Pastor Nene
yari agiye kuja mu butumwa
was about to go and teach the
kugira ngo
gospel.
akure abantu mu byaha
He was going to teach people so they can come out of
none
the
baravuze
sin.
ngo nta mafaranga
And they say they don't have money to pay for his
none
school.
aratashe
Now he's going home.
ararangiza
And he was done.
undi munyakenya araza arahansanga
Another Kenyan came out again
arambwira ati tugende tuje hariya tuje
and said,
kunywa
let's go. I need to go buy you some.
yari umugabo ufite imodoka yiwe
He had his car,
twariganaga
and we were in the same
ngira
school.
ngo none nje agiye kumpa tike yo kungeza sinzi aho najaga nanje
I thought he was going to give me just a ticket
kuko nari mfite
to go
igiceri
somewhere. I didn't even have the
nari
destination.
mfite igiceri kimwe gusa
I had one corner.
arambwira ngo ese ndarya iki
And
muri
he
restaurant.
asked me, what are you going to eat?
nanje ndeba bya bindi biri chipe bya gito
And I was trying to find the cheapest food.
ndavuga ngo kideri
He said kideri. Kideri is corn and
kandi yari azi ko
beans.
ntazanyirya nawe
And he knew I'd never ate that
aravuga
kind of
ngo ye
food.
nturya kideri
He
vuga
said,
ibyo kurya byiza
say the good food you want to
mu
eat.
bitekerezo byanje hariho ishuri
My thinking was about my
bya bibazo
school.
byose by'intambara
And all this problem came back.
arangaburira
He gave me food,
ngo amara arambwira ngo ngaya amadolari yawe 500 usure ku ishuri
and then he gave me $500 to go back to school.
igitangaza cyabaye
That was
Nanibaga
a
no-
miracle. That was a miracle.
principal
Yeah.
w'ishuri
So the principal of the school,
muhaye ayo mafaranga
when I gave him the money,
mu mugoroba ijambo yabwirije
what he taught people that night,
message yiwe yabwirije
his
abantu.
message was,
yaravuze ngo inyenyeri zaka nijoro
he said, the stars comes at night.
ku manywa ntiwuzibona
You cannot see the stars during the day.
naho natangiriye ubuhamya bwanjye
And that's where I start my testimony.
Yeah, that's good. So you had no plans to come to America.
ntayo nari mfite kabisa no
I never even dreamed about it.
So how did that unfold?
n'imana ari ibipanzeyo
It's the plan of God.
kuko habaye umushinga ngo ni mapendo
It was this organization called Mapendo, which is
baraza
love,
bakoresha abantu interview
and they came and asked us questions.
kugira ngo bagukoreshe interview uje hasere uje jiveya uje imbasa zari nk'icumi zirenga gutya
For you to do this interview and go through UN and GV and all these kind of places,
kandi kuza muri amerika biragoye
coming to America is not easy.
kandi sinari nzi ko hameze gutya
And I never knew how America
Nari nzi ngo
looks
ni-
like.
ngo nari nzi ngo ni nka heaven ntoya gutya
I thought it was a small heaven.
ariko ngushike mbona abantu ko barapfa naho
But when I got here, people were dying too.
birancanganya hano
And I was confused.
badukoresha interview kugeza ngeze muri imbasi
So they asked us questions until we got to the embassy.
bariko baduheza urwandiko
And they would give us this paper,
rwari rwanditseho amagambo
and it had a lot of words.
ariko hano hejuru niho twari kudusoma n'icyongereza
So
twari tukizi
we didn't
Umuntu
know
wari kudusomera.
English, but we had to read.
umuntu umwe niwe wari kudusomera
There's somebody that we read,
akavuga gusa ngo approved
and then they would say approved.
ukamurubika ukamawirukanga
And then you take your paper and run.
nubwo bambwiye ngo uzoja muri amerika
And that's how I found out I would go to America.
kugeza umunsi bambwiye ngo uzogenda ejo
Until the day they said, tomorrow you are going to the airplane.
So you didn't know any English,
no. Yes and,
but
and
they
then
put
no.
a piece of paper in front of you with English on it, and you spoke the English out loud.
Twari dufite umuntu usoma
There was somebody that we read,
ariko kuko inzandiko zari nyinshi z'abantu benshi
because there was a lot of papers to read.
yari ko asoma umusitari wa mbere
He
gusa
will read
approved
just the first line, approved.
naho gusa
That was enough.
ukamugenda kuko hari hamwe bari kuvuga ngo deny bakabahakanira
Because it was approved or denied.
abo nibo twari dufite ikibazo tukabaterura tubabwira ngo ni mwihanga
So we hugged them and say, just keep.
ariko
keep
nasomye
on.
urwanje ngo approved
But mine was
bambwira
approved,
numva kera ko nagiye muri
and I felt like God has answered me.
Now God gave that to you, and
Amen.
so you did that. Yeah. So what was it like coming to America?
kuza muri amerika naraje
I came,
nahitiye seruwi
and my first place was St. Louis,
ariko nanone mu mutima wanjye nakumva ngo se famille ibahe
but I wasn't here
iyo umuntu
fully because my family was in
iyo
there.
umuntu mbwiye umwe kuba apfuye ngahebura
I wished to hear they are dead or they are still alive.
mpitira seruwi
So I was in St. Louis,
byari bigoye nibwo bwa mbere najaga mu ndege
and it was my first time to get on the
uko
airplane.
yarahagurutse namangira ngo none turaguye turapfa
And when he went up, I felt like we are dying right now.
sinabyumvaga
I couldn't understand,
ariko mbona ndashitse kuri seruwi
but I landed on St. Louis,
numva merewe neza
and I felt good.
ariko nama nshanganyikirwa kubera ibintu bitandukanye.
I was so confused because of different things.
So you came to America, never really seen much of the country, knew no English when you arrived. You got some help from immigration?
Yes.
Yeah. And did they help you find a job?
Bamfashije kubona akazi
Yeah, the immigration helped to find a job.
kuko nashitse mu nzu ikintu nza nibuka ni umunsi Obama atambuka.
I remember when I got in my house, it was the day they voted Obama.
Kuko kese waka yavuye kuntora ku kibuga bari mu matora
The
bataratangaza
case worker came to the airport before they announced that Obama won.
ngo shike mu nzu gutya
When we got in the house,
baravuga ngo Obama abaye president.
they said Obama is the president.
Nari muzi gusa nari
I
nzi ko ari
didn't know
umwirabura.
the president Obama, but they said he was a black man.
Shitse banshakira akazi
So when I got there, they found me a job.
impunzi ziba muri mirako.
So I'm telling you, refugees, they went through a lot of
Hano
miracles.
ntiwoja gusaba lone udafite akazi
You cannot go ask a loan without a job
udafite credit.
or a good credit.
Ariko umunsi bambwira ngo nzurire ejo
But when they say you are going to the airport
nasinyiye
today,
lone ndafite akazi
I had to sign the loan for
y'indege nzaza.
for the ticket of the airplane that will bring me
Banshakira
here.
akazi
And then when I got here, they found me a job,
kandi kari kure.
and the job was very far.
Nafataga za tres ibiri
I had to get 2 trains
na basi zitatu
and 3 buses
kugira ngo ngere ku kazi.
so I can get to my job.
Ngateka
I will cook,
ngasha amaboko yarera.
and I will burn my arms.
Arasha kabisa amaboko.
I burned my arms.
Sinageza ngira amaboko gutya ku pepe y'umuntu
I
wapi.
couldn't even do this
amaboko yari yarahiye.
because my arms didn't look
Ariko
good.
ngakora cyane.
But I worked very hard.
Nakora muri Chevis restaurant.
I was working in Chevis.
Akazi kari kagoye ariko ndihangana.
It was a hard job, but I had to do it.
I'm from St. Louis, so do you know what part of St. Louis you lived in?
Ni Olive ni muri Olive gutya ahantu uvuye Seruzi
Olivet?
n'ahazi.
Olive, yeah.
Olive. Yeah. And where did you work? Do you know where?
Nari ntuye muri
Grand?
Seruzi.
Yeah.
North Grand?
Ya ngafata ibasi kanjana kuri tre.
And he would take he was on Grant Avenue, so he would take the bus to the train,
Treni kanjana kandepoza handi.
and the train would take me somewhere,
Ngafata indi treni kanjana handi.
and then another train,
Kabana gufata mandi mabasi.
And then
nisiga
I would take
indi ngeza ku kazi.
2 buses, 3 buses again to get to my job.
Hoba imvura, hoba sino.
Raining, snowing, I would go.
N'ubu nza numva ko ngifite imbeho.
And I still have that cold in my knees.
Narakayuye kabisa.
Have you gotten used to the snow yet? And the cold?
What do I mean the snow?
Sino umunsi wa mbere yaje cyabaye igitangaza.
The first day I saw the snow, that was
Jewe
something.
nageze ngo ni kawunga bazanye.
I thought it was the fufu ground because we eat
mu
fufu.
gitondo nja gukoraho.
And then I went to touch.
Numva ni ibindi bintu.
It was something else.
Nibwo nayibonye bwa mbere.
That was the first time I
Ariko
saw
byari
it.
biteye ubwoba.
It was scary.
Yeah. It just reminded me. There's a good little movie. I think Reese Witherspoon is the main actor. Does anybody know the name of that movie? The Good Life.
Lie.
The Good Lie, about refugees who come and they settle in Kansas City area, and then Reese
Those are
Witherspoon
from Sudan.
is the social worker or whatever that works with them. Yeah, it's insightful if you want to see a movie that has all the interplay of someone coming, from somewhere else to this country and having to navigate all the issues. It's tremendous. What a challenge to come here and not have any English and have to figure your way out day by day.
Biba bigoye utazi icyongereza.
When you don't speak the language, it's
Ariko
very
abubu
hard.
ndi mukubona biroroshe.
But I don't know how these people are coming and learning very fast.
Ariko Imana iradufashije.
It's just all about God.
Abubu bo hariho abandi babafasha ubunyine.
There's people that are aware that there's refugees and
Ndi
they are
mukubona hano bari
helping
mukira
them.
akazi tugatangaza hano mu ikanisa ngo mujane umuntu akamenya ngo aratora umuntu ku kazi.
So we help each other. We take
Tuzi
somebody
gutwara imodoka.
to work, and we get there easily because the other refugees are
N'ibibazo biba
helping.
biteye ubwoba.
So it was hard when you get somewhere
Habe
and
no
nobody is
guteka muri
there.
oven ntabyo narinzi.
I didn't know how to cook in the oven.
Twagaza duteka ku muriro.
We cooked outside on the fire.
Byose nibisha.
Everything was new here,
Byose byari bisha iwacu.
very new.
Kandi sinje nje nyine n'abandi.
And it's not only me.
Abantu bose byari bisha.
For everybody, it was
Bikaba
a
bisha
challenge.
wahuye n'ibyo bibazo byindi by'intambara.
And with the war and the confusion,
Ariko ikiza kibafasha bose no gusenga Imana.
but the only thing that we have, we pray the real God.
So you were in St. Louis for 2 years, and then what led you to Colombia?
Maze kuba Seruwi.
After I lived in St. Louis,
hari abantu bari bakeneye kuza basenga mu mvugo twumva
there were people that wanted to pray in our own language,
tukaramya nk'uko mwabonye bariko baramya hano
like they will sing the songs in their
kandi reka mbabwire
language.
kurya mwari kumubona batamba hano
As you saw this dancing and everything,
kurya bavuye mu moko atandukanye
and we are different
umwe abyina ukwiwe
ethnic
yumva
group. We dance as it
kandi
comes.
ntibaza babyina gusa babahaye basenga
We don't just dance. We are remembering
icyo gihe
and
barambwira ngo ninze
praising.
be pasiteri wabo
and those people wanted me to come and be the
ariko
pastor,
byari bingoye
but it was hard.
icyo gihe nari maze kumenya ko famiye yanje iri muri Kenya
That time I found out that my family was in Kenya.
ndavuga ngo se ndagenda gute Colombia
And I was asking myself, how am I moving to
kandi
Colombia?
ntibafite kumpemba
And they are going, I'm not going to be paid to do this.
ndagenda kuri bose wanje wa Chevisi
And I went to my boss in Chevis,
ndamuga ngo ampeze transfer inze hano kuri Chevisi
and I wanted to be transferred here in
kuko
Colombia.
yarazi ko ndi umukozi by'ukuri
For real, I'm a good worker, and
kazi
he
kanje
knew.
buri gihe cyose mpagera mbere y'isaha
And I tried to be at my job before everybody,
kandi barabizi bose
and everybody knows.
noneho ngo mare bibi kibazo
So it was a problem.
ngo mubwire namwe ngo Colombia ni hatoya ntuzobona akazi
He said, Colombia is so small, you're not going to find a job.
numva biragoye
And I was thinking.
ubwo madamu nari maze kumenya ko hari
So
turavugana
I knew that my wife was in
Ngende
Kenya,
Colombia,
and
cyangwa
I was
Zambia.
talking to her, and I was asking myself, do I have really to
Arambwira
move
ngo
in
umuhamagaro
Colombia?
uriho mukuru.
But when I talked to my wife, he said, go, you are called for this.
ndaza
That's how I came.
ariko nibwo bagize ibibazo byinshi biteye ubwoba
And that's when she got challenged where she was.
Chevisi ya hano
But Chevis here,
bariya baseruye bakamwira ngo guma hano turaguheza inzu ya manager uzobamo nawe utazoza uriha uzukora hano reke kugenda Colombia
and the Chevis in St. Louis was trying to keep me there, and they said, stay here, you will live with the manager, and it's near your job, you're not going to go far. And I was putting all of these on the balance.
numva umuhamagaro w'Imana
But I felt like I was called not to do that.
ndaza ashitse hano
So I came.
naje ku kazi bakamwira ngo nisubirayo
When I came and worked at Chevis here, but sometimes they would tell me to
habe
go
na
home.
gaze yo gushira mu modoka nageza nibura
Sometimes I didn't even have the gas to my
ariko
car,
nasenga cyane
but I was praying.
ngo buce mu gitondo ngeze ku kazi baramwira ngo no more Chevisi
When I got to my job, one morning, they said, no more Chevis, it's closed.
birantangaza kabisa
I was so confused.
manager wanje anjana muri Olive Garden
So the manager that I had took me to Olive Garden,
aravuga ati uyu muntu ni umukozi mu muheza akazi
and they said, he's a hard worker, give him a
nta
job.
interview nakoze
I didn't do the
nta
interview.
akazi ndakora
They gave me the
ariko
job.
hari hagoye
But it was very hard.
bageze barunda amasahani nayabona nkarira
They would they stacked the plates, and I would cry.
ngakakora ka kazi
I did that job,
ngo buce mbona akazi muri banki
and then I found another job at the
ari
bank.
kensi ari njyanye
It's Atkins. We had to clean the
Kari
banks.
koroshe.
It was easy,
ariko amafaranga ari nta
but small money.
2 weeks nabonaga 500
In 2 weeks, I had to have 500.
nakubitaho assurance nkabona
With the insurance of the car and everything,
Yanje.
my own insurance,
nyivanaho
I took it off.
shiraho iyi modoka gusa
I put just my car.
mba mu buzima bukomeye
It was hard,
ariko ndasenga
but I was praying.
ngo buce mbona akazi kuri Buni Hospital
And then I found another job at the Boone Hospital.
numva ibintu bitangiye kugenda neza
So things were becoming
nakora
well.
neza
I worked there,
ariko maze igihe nzanya Africa kuri university ntibampamagare
and I was trying to get a job to university, but they never called me.
niki gituma badahaye baheza abakristo akazi
And I was
basenga Imana
asking why
bakabaheza
they
akazi.
don't give the Christian a job.
ndasenga ngo mbone
I
ako kazi
kept praying,
karabura
and I couldn't find the
nakora
job.
interview ni accent yanje ti
Wherever I do the interview with my accent, and they will be like, oh, this person. And then I continue to apply.
bitaro by'abana n'abagore
Now, the women and children,
ubu niho nkora
that's where I work.
mu gitondo mba ndi hano ku ikanisa
In the morning, I'm here.
ariko mu mugoroba mba ndi hari
Evening time, I go to work.
kaja gukora
Yeah. So works at Women's and Children's Hospital
Yes.
here in Colombia. And a little earlier on, you said that when you took your flight from Africa over to the United States, they loan you the money for the ticket, but then you have to pay the ticket back. Is that
Yes.
right?
yes
Yeah, and then you had to do the same thing when Francine and your
Yes.
family came.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's a pretty big expense
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
Yeah.
added on
Yeah.
as part of what it costs for you to
Yes.
live. So you learned that your family was alive in 2009 when you were in St. Louis,
yes
and that had to be shocking.
byari biteye ubwoba
That was scary.
umuntu uzi ko yapfuye kutagihari
Somebody you think he's dead.
baragenda iyo uvuye uri impunzi ugenda kuri hasere
Whenever you are a refugee, you go to UN.
agendayo
She went there by
wahagera
herself.
hasanga abandi twari tuziranye
And when she got there, there were people
ahasanga
that knew me.
abapasiteri bari batuzi
The pastors that knew me already.
baramubwira ati ese uyu ni madamu Nene
And they say, are you Mrs. Nene?
ti pastor Nene yaragiye muri Amerika
Pastor Nene is in America already.
urumva bene ibyo bintu
Can you imagine?
barampamagara
They called me.
ariko sinabyumvishe
I couldn't even understand.
ndabahamagara
I called them back.
bambwira ko bahari
They said, your family is here.
imana irakomeye
God is God. Amen.
mu kubaho kwanje
In my life,
kuko nabyaye ngize imyaka 5
after I had the baby after 5 years, as I said. I couldn't understand how I can spend one night apart from my child. I loved my daughter, Aline. She's here.
iwacu muri Kongo ntabazavuga base mu izina
Home, nobody can say the name of your father in your name. Nobody can say the name of the father.
aja ku ishuri
She went to school,
uwo munsi biga herufi ne
so they had to learn about the letter N.
izina ryanje ni rito cyane
So his name is small.
bagenda bavuga ngo Nene
So they were Nene, learning about the letter N.
yamatangira kurira mu ishuri kugeza atashe
She started crying from the classroom to
ngo
home.
bavuze papa wiwe mu
They
izina
said the name of my daddy.
nyina w'umwamuriye hariya
My daughter over here. There.
bavuze papa mu izina
They said the name of my dad.
sinari nzi ko nogenda ahantu utari kumwe nawe
So I couldn't even imagine being
ariko
apart
tekereza
from
kuvuga
my
ngo
daughter.
baraguhamagaye ngo famiye yawe irahari
So now they are calling me and saying my
N'abana
family
bawe
is there
bose,
and all your children are
n'undi
there.
batoye
And another child that they found.
ubitekereza gute
Can you imagine?
Yesu Kristo.
It's over my
kandi ibyo
thinking.
byose sinje njenyine
So it's not me
aba bose
only.
mubona barefugee
So
senga
all
hano
these
badasenga hano.
refugees that are
Bafite
here,
ubuhamya buteye ubwoba.
they have a lot of testimonies that can just move you.
Yeah, yeah. So I'd like for Aline and Francine is back there.
Francine
do you
is
have-
over there.
Could you stand, please? Could you just stand so we can see who
Maguru
you are?
Kiwa Babuni.
That's Nene's wife back there. That's his oldest daughter here. And let's put the picture up. Let's put the picture up of his family so we can see all of them. There they are. Obviously, that picture was taken here at Fellowship because I recognize the photo or whatever that is in the back. So walk through, starting with Francine and working across.
Okay.
uyu ni Claude
Janda hano kwa Francine uze gusa.
dutangire uyu ni Francine
His wife,
uyu ni Mugeni Charlotte
Mugeni, daughter, the youngest.
uyu ni jewe uyu ni Israeli
Israel. Oh, yeah, in Israel.
uyu ni Aline uyu ni Claude
Claude.
That's the young boy that Francine
That's the one
adopted.
that Francine
Yeah,
found.
found
yeah,
in,
the
yeah.
way, yeah. Nobody.
uyu ni Kwezi
Kwezi
uyu ni Fred
and Freddie.
arangije high school niwe nasize afite amezi 7
That one was 7 months when I left.
arangije high
Now he's he finished his high school too.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
It is.
Yes. Oh, we're running out of time. Okay, we'll wrap this up here. So, when did you become a citizen, a U.S. citizen?
maze imyaka
About 3 years?
6 years ago.
Oh, 6 years ago. Okay. And I'm going to say some things just because I realize time has gotten away from us. But we have our third service afternoons on Sundays at around 4 o'clock, 4:30. Anybody's welcome to come. It's what we did up here on the platform this morning for an extended time. It's just wonderful to be in this setting with worship and prayer. You don't even have to understand the language. You just enjoy the Spirit of God in that setting. If you would like to get involved in befriending one of our refugees or refugee families, I'd encourage you just to fill out on our communication card that you'd like to get involved. It could be something as simple as teaching someone how to drive, maybe helping someone get from one place to another. A few years ago, several of us did instruction on how to become a U.S. citizen. I'd encourage anybody to instruct someone in that, because that class that you got in 6th grade, you don't remember any of that. It's all new material to you. So you get an additional education as you're trying to teach a refugee. This is what it means to be a U.S. citizen. And it'll be a challenge for you, but it's a good challenge. And you're helping those who they have to know all this stuff. They take a test and all of that. So I think, did you say your son is getting ready to take his citizenship? Claude?
We have one Claude. Next week, he's going to do his exam. He's the only one that doesn't have the citizenship yet.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. So Nene came here from St. Louis. He was invited by a group of people that were gathering for worship. They had been a part of First Baptist Church here in Columbia, which is on Broadway, downtown. First Baptist is kind of right next to Stevens College. And I visited with, I know the pastor there, Carol McIntyre, and I know Ed Rollins, who's been there for quite a few years. I know both of them. And in an article, Carol said this: "It is such a blessing for the rest of our congregation to have the African worshipers here. How joyful they are, even though they've had such tragedy in their life. To see them live out their faith, to me, is such a testimony of the strength they have and their belief in God. They're such a great example for us." And I would say yes and amen to that. That is true in our midst. They transitioned from First Baptist because of some decisions they made that affected their theology, and they just felt like it was appropriate that they transitioned from that setting. But I want to give due recognition to First Baptist and their willingness to receive Nene and the congregation there and be a family for them and a home for them for several years. I mean, there were tears with their leaving, and I want to respect that church for their reaching out and being willing to do their part in this. I want to close with, as I think about your story and the story of everybody that's come from another country like this, and the thing that sticks in my mind is the parable of the Good Samaritan. And we know that parable. I won't read the whole thing here, but a lawyer comes to Jesus and says, "What shall I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus says, "What's written in the law?" And he says, it's to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And then the lawyer wants to justify himself. He says, "So who is my neighbor?" And Jesus answered, "A certain man went out to Jericho and fell among thieves, who stripped him of his clothing and wounded him and departed, leaving him dead, half dead. Now by chance a certain priest came down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise a Levite, when he arrived at the place, came and looked and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him, and went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. And he set him on his own animal, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. On the next day, when he departed, he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper, and said to him, "Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I come again, I will repay you." So which of these 3 do you think was neighbor to him who fell among the thieves? Jesus asked. And the lawyer said, "He who showed mercy on him." And Jesus said, "Go and do likewise." I think that's a great parable for us in the context of our refugees and those among us who are outsiders who have come in to Columbia, into our church, to reach out, to understand we have a part to play in this story of the Good Samaritan. Thank you so much for everything that you shared with us this morning, and I encourage all of us here whose home is Columbia, has been home in America, to befriend those who've come from another country, refugee or scholars who come to the university, who come and worship in our midst. Push past the language barriers. Don't be afraid to engage someone in conversation. That's the way you make friends, and it's a great friendship to have. So let's stand, and thank you both very much. And we're gonna close with worship here. We're going to close in worship. I'm going to wrap things up because time has gotten away from us a little bit. If you're a guest with us, I'd like to invite you to stop by our visitor center, which is out in that foyer there. We'd love to meet you. We have a gift for you as well. We'll send you on your way. Hopefully it's quit raining out there. After we finish singing the song, we'll post the prayer requests, and if you want to stick around and pray those prayer requests, feel free to do so. But as we are worshiping, we'll worship for a couple minutes, and then feel free to be dismissed at that time. So, guys, lead us.